Hi, and welcome to ADHD Friendly. I'm Patty. I am an ADHD coach, and I feel a little pretentious. I was like going to say, and the host of all things ADHD Friendly. But I do have my website, ADHD-Friendly.com, with lots of resources on it. Everything I do is with the intention of tilting that playing field in favor of our brains, so we are thriving, not just surviving with ADHD. I invite you to check it out if you're looking for some additional support. But on to the podcast. This week, Becca, we are on episode 128.
Woohoo!
I'm going to start, as always, with my celebration, as well as a check-in on subscribers, which is part of our routine now. And then I have an ADHD-friendly tool this week called a dopamine menu.
Ooh.
I know. I'm going to share, I've talked about this in the past, but this is a new take on the tool that I found very sparkly. So I'm going to talk about that. And then our topic this week is, how do you plan your day? And if you don't plan your day, just a way to explore if there's something that you would do to make your day go a little bit more the way you want, so that at the end of the day, when you're tucking in, settling in for the night, you got some of those wins swirling in your brain instead of judgment. And then I'm going to share my book of the week for this week. All right, so let's start with the celebration. Becca, I know you peeked before I did. It's become this like really fun thing that we do that
Yes.
I've noticed the last couple of times we're both kind of like pulling up the YouTube channel and peeking. I did. Welcome, new subscribers. I am so overwhelmed. Like I so appreciate everybody who's taken the time to check out this podcast. And then I don't know about you, but like, I don't find it very easy to go and actually subscribe to things, because I don't always, like, I've only subscribed to like a handful of things on YouTube. And I couldn't even literally tell you right now how to do it. I'd have to have a sheet right in front of me. I don't think it's all that difficult, but it does require a couple of steps. So I am so appreciative of everybody who has paused for a moment to take that step and are now a subscriber of ADHD Friendly.
Woohoo!
So, oh, sorry, I always no, I stay here. I'm here. That's right. So we're going to keep the 5. We are going to flip, like get over yourself here. I know. It's like, am I right? No, it's not a 5. I'm wrong.
It's an O.
It's an O. This is why it's good to have another set of eyes. And then we get to flip the hundreds, please. Becca, we're getting so close to the thousands place over there.
Wow. Oh,
like
I'm
on.
It's
5
1 week.
in 1 week. Something I literally, it's never happened.
No.
I don't know how it happened. I don't know how you're still not finding me. I've got somebody on trying to help me to figure out how to make the YouTube channel more findable, because I sat next to people literally this weekend while they tried to look at it. I'm like, you can't find it. So I don't know how you're finding it. I so appreciate you, however you found it, if it's being shared. But welcome all 720.
Woo!
I can't believe I'm saying 700. That's crazy.
Okay.
Okay. Now to my win, or my celebration. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you've been a follower of the podcast and the show, you know I love peanuts. I love Snoopy. Stinking love it. I've got a shirt I'm gonna wear soon that my son got for me that I'm gonna wear. It's a really big shirt, but it's still super cute and I don't care. And I'm gonna wear it with long sleeves because I can't wait for it to be, it needs to be a little warmer than it is like today, but I'm gonna totally wear it. Oh gosh, this would have been so cute. Okay, I have to, because I took my watch off because I'm going to show you. My celebration is Snoopy watch face. If you are listening, I invite you to check out the YouTube channel on ADHD Friendly YouTube channel on YouTube. But every time, I have to tell you, the funny thing is, I always tell people like having a watch is really an important tool for our ADHD brains, because if you're looking at your phone for time, it's a portal into everything else.
So stinking cute.
He does these little things. And so like the example, he does these little things.
So cute.
And he moves. He's only showing, if I try to show you my wrist doesn't twist that way. But he does these little like dances.
Yes.
He's been the Red Baron. He's hanging out with Woodstock. They hang on the like now he's in school doing his little desk thing.
So fun.
Like it is so stinking cute, guys. I look at it all the time. I've never seen this one. I've had this for almost a week now, and there are a handful that repeat pretty consistent. Like Beef does this jump rope thing. He looks like he's in like jazzercise stuff. But there are ones at least every fifth time, it's still one I have never seen yet. I don't know how
Aw.
many are on here.
Yeah.
My fear now is it's going to be taken away at some point,
You
kind of
don't
like
want that.
my GPS voice. Like I had like this great like British voice telling me my directions, and suddenly it was gone.
Mm.
And I'm like, now I got to go pick something else because I don't like the standard voice.
No.
So I'm hoping it never goes away. Oh my God, right now he's riding a wave. And
It's so
I have no
cute.
idea what time it is because I'm watching him. So I'm gonna have to figure that part out. But my celebration is leaning into something that is so fun. And this gives me a dopamine hit every time I
Yeah.
need it. If I'm feeling a little
Low.
low, little slow, dragging a bit, I'm like, what's Snoopy doing? Right? Oh, there he is in his spacesuit, floating around.
Aw.
Oh my gosh. I just love it so, so much. And it's free on Apple Watch. It's a free watch face.
Better.
I'm loving it. Okay. So that's my celebration, is the fun leaning into what I love and getting a lot of joy from
I
it.
love that.
So, and speaking of firing up my brain, give me a little dopamine hit. Let's talk about our tool for this week, which is a dopamine menu. You guys know I love a menu.
Love a menu.
It is one of my just absolute favorites. I have so many of them. This comes from an Attitude magazine article that was written by Melanie Walkoff Watchsman, Wachsman. And the name totally caught my interest.
Yeah.
And in reading it, I realized, oh yeah, I mean, I have talked about this before with the ICNUT menu,
Yes.
which was inspired by Dr. Dotson. I shared information on that in episode 57. I also have an energy building menu, which again, these are all kind of plays on the same name, but dopamine menu, I just found as a very sparkly way of framing it. So it just created a little dopamine hit for me. I was like, oh, I love that. I love that idea of using that. So how would you create yours? If you like this idea, if this is interesting to you, the structure that was shared in the article was using it like a menu. And we've talked about this before as well, kind of, what are the appetizers? What are the main dishes? What are the desserts? What are the sides? And they shared how to kind of use that structure with the appetizers being like really short little things that you can do quickly. The main things that might require more time, but might give you a bigger boost, might last a little longer. So short things could be like, getting up and doing a few jumping jacks or a few push-ups, or for me, it might be like running out to get the mail and coming back, where it's like, I get outside, I get a little bit of that sun and different environment, little nature time. And then the main things could be things like going for a walk, or, kind of like thinking about things that require a bit more time investment, but again, give you more of that back longer term, a main thing. And then desserts could be like food, treats, maybe financial things like, I use my whole, like, if I do this, then I can kind of thing, where I got my snowshoes to walk in the snow, but I held it, or like my walking poles, where I was like, okay, you reach this point, or I got my new yoga mat when I hit a certain point in my yoga routine. So I'd like to think of some financial things as rewards, like dessert. And then sides, I love this idea, pairing sides with boring tasks. So maybe you have to fold laundry or do dishes, so you're going to pair it with something that's interesting, like calling a friend or listening to an audiobook that you like. So I love that. I also like the idea, and this is what I do in my menus for my ICNUP, which is the ICNUP, how to get your brain engaged strategy from Dr. Dotson. And I like to structure them by how much time they take. So it might be like really quick 1 to 2 minute things, 5-10 minutes. I like to structure them by, do I do them alone or with other people? Do they cost money, or are they free? Right. So kind of thinking about all that, or can I do it outside or inside? Like all those different kind of ways to explore. And then the other thing is to think about maybe tying your strengths into it. So is there a hobby you enjoy? So, I like to do my knitting.
Yes.
So it might be, I'll, look for a new pattern that I, am interested in making as a reward. Or maybe I just got a puzzle that I'm really excited about as a reward.
Exciting.
So if there's a hobby that you enjoy, using your hobby as that dopamine menu option can also be sparkly, playing to your strengths. So I have a couple of examples that I wanted to share from my latest ICNUP menu. Again, my ICNUP menu is, the I is for interest, the C is for challenge or competition, the N is for novel or new, U is for urgency, and P is for passion. Sometimes we can't always tap into things
Yeah.
we're passionate about, but if you can, it automatically helps you get engaged. So I realized it would help me to have specific options for specific tasks. So if I don't have to kind of read my whole menu,
Yeah.
I can be like, okay, what do I do when I have to empty the dishwasher? Because that's like my least favorite task. Or pick up medication at the pharmacy.
Yeah. That's a
I
pain in
can't
the
even
butt.
like honestly, like
Yeah.
just thinking about it drains me. Or if I have to do something that requires like a lot of focus, like writing my newsletter, it always takes me a long time to get into that, which I always tell people, like, if you sign up for my newsletter, don't worry, you're not going to be inundated, because I do all of the writing and it just takes me so long to get my brain in a place where I'm like getting like any clarity from what I want to say and how I want to say it. Or I struggle to make phone calls. So like these are like examples. And I made a little chart with the task I need to get done and strategies that I've noticed work for me to get them done.
Awesome.
So I can just plug in.
Yeah.
But here's what I know about me. I'm very visual. So I like the color. I like the structure. I'm not going to read all those
I was
words.
gonna say that's a lot of words for you.
Yep. So I made a little visual picking
Cute.
up strategies by task.
I love it.
So same structure,
Uh-huh.
same exact structure, just pictures instead of all the words. So I can literally see like, okay, if I have to go pick up my or refill a medication or pick it up, the first step is look up the steps. And I got a little picture of a checklist here.
Done, done.
The next step is do it first. So I put it in the order that I'm going to do it in. So I'm kind of doing that. And then I get to do something else, maybe that I'm enjoying more. It could be, you know, that dopamine menu option. I like to look at yard sales when I go, especially if it's like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. So I'll like remind myself like, oh, if it's a weekend, you can drive around and look for estate sales or yard sales. And then I like to do 3, 2, 1, go, which is just, you know, I have the number pulled up on my phone. I'm just 3, 2, 1, go. If I have to call,
Done.
so I'm not, the longer, what I know is the longer we wait and we look at it and we think about it, we're getting further away from actually doing it. So I like having the pictures, and I'm sharing that in case it sparks your brain, right? That little dopamine hit for you to think about what would work for you to do that with more ease. So that's it. That's our tool for this week, a dopamine menu. And again, this is episode 128 for all of the resources for this episode. All right, now a quick ad for ADHD Friendly, our sponsor. Here at ADHD Friendly, we've been serving the ADHD and neurodiverse community since 2012. And the reason for everything that we do is to support ADHD brains to thrive by tilting the playing field in favor of our brains. And I always say people like us, people that have ADHD and impacted executive function challenges, do things like miss appointments, overcommit, get overwhelmed by visual clutter or too many things in our brains. We live for now, not now, right now. We repeat the same mistakes over and over, and we have lots of things we intend to do, but we struggle to actually take action and do them. So to use our strengths and work with our brains, ADHD Friendly is the membership community that I've created to support us to go from intention to action with ease. So I'm closing that gap. We're getting more done, and we're doing a lot of it together. I invite you to check it out at ADHDfriendly.com. 128, it's our topic of the week.
Yay!
How do you plan your day? So I've talked a lot about planning in previous episodes.
Yes.
Everybody needs a daily plan, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, so I really want to encourage you, let go, what I always say, let go of what doesn't work for you, hold on to what does. I invite you just to explore as I talk through some of the pieces of what a daily plan can look like, and just notice if there's one thing in there that is sparkly for you, that feels like it's pulling you like, oh, I'd like to try that. That would be the place that I would encourage you to put your efforts, not all of it, just part of it, something that feels like it's going to add something, you're going to get something for your efforts. So when we think about planning our day, we're literally prioritizing what's most important to us today. And that's requiring a lot of decisions, which is why we're not doing it. We will hold back on pausing and just kind of like, let me just go put out all these fires as they come across my radar. Fires up our brain, we get things done, but they're not necessarily the most important things to get done. So they might be the most sparkly, They might be the loudest, right? Like the thing that's like, oh my gosh, this person just asked me and I forgot that I was supposed to get that to them. And we'll just go do it instead of being like, okay, let me let them know, I'm so sorry that that fell off my radar. Would it be okay if I got that to you by Friday? Instead, we'll resist because that's another step. We'll just like, let me just go ahead and do this and get it to them. And that will feel so good. And it will, except the other things we're not doing are all creating that noise in the background. They're still draining our energy because they're not pinned down in a way that we know we have a plan and other things aren't going to fall off because we're focusing on this other thing right now. So I wanted to share the rough kind of outline for how I do my daily planning. I don't do this every single day, but I do this more days than not. And it's what I do on any day that I have to get certain things done, or I'm not going to be able to like lay my head down at night without ruminating and thinking about what didn't happen. So first is get it ISIM. My ISIM acronym is Insight in Mind. So if you're holding these things in your head, you're thinking about them, and it's like, yeah, I know. I always say when I'm meeting with clients, if they're looking up, I'm like, yeah, you're in your head.
You're thinking.
Let me know, like, where else could that go? So that we're getting it out of your head and into something that you can see. So it's external, visible, and concrete, and you can work with it. And getting it out of your head and into something you can see is the first essential step. It's going to free up brain space. It's going to let you see everything at once and process that information. So you're supporting your working memory and not trying to do all of that in your head, which is very fatiguing, not very efficient. And it's going to drain a lot of energy that you would be able to then use to actually do the things instead of thinking about doing them.
Yeah.
Number 2, identify the top 1 to 3 things, not more than 3. I'm really going to encourage you. You can do more than that if you finish the 3, but the whole idea of prioritizing is narrowing down to the most essential things that have to happen that day. So these are things that can't be done any other day. They have to happen today. If you don't have anything that falls in that criteria, then you can go to, okay, there's nothing that is going to kind of blow up if I don't do it today. So the most important thing for me to use my time on is this. But the very first thing is, if it can't be done any other day, these are the things that have to happen today, but no more than 3, 1 to 3. If you have more than 3 things on your list, which I don't know anybody that has brain wiring like mine doesn't have more than 3, they go on the things I might do or things I can do if I have time after I finish the priorities. All right, number 3, estimate the time that you need to get those top 1 to 3 things done. Those time estimates might be inaccurate, but they're at least giving you a sense of how much time you're anticipating it's going to take. I sometimes will block like 2 or 3 hours and it only took me 20 minutes. Well, now I've got 2 or 3 hours still open. I'm like, oh my gosh, what else can I fit in this time? And then I feel like it's bonus time. I could just keep going.
Bonus time.
But other times I've grossly underestimated how long something will take. And I don't have time for other things. So it helps me to get better at estimating over time if I continue to practice estimating that time. Number 4, I like to flag times for the things not on my list that are priorities, like going for my walk or reading. If I like really, I'm like, okay, where are my rewards? What are the things that I'm trying? And then I like to review my plan. So I'm going to kind of look it over and adjust if I need to. So I've got today, you guys, I've talked about how I'm in this nice routine where I'm recording 2 weeks before each episode comes out. So today is as I'm recording this, Wednesday, March 20th. This will come out on Wednesday, April, I think it's the 2nd is the date that I'm navigating towards. But I'm going to hold up today's daily planner. And this is in my planner tool that is available in the ADHD-Friendly shop. The entire planner is in there. It's a monthly planner with all of the tools, but this is the daily plan. And so I write the date up here. I write down my schedule for the day. And here I identify those open blocks of time. So I've got 3 hours here. I've got 1 hour here to play with that I don't have a time commitment that's requiring me to be somewhere else or to be, doing something with a client. And then over here, I have my top priorities, and these time circles are how much time I think they'll take. A full circle represents an hour. This little guy up here represents like 10, 15 minutes. And then down here, if I have more time, I have another hour task I've identified that if I have time, great. But these are the things I have to get done. And if I want to, I could go ahead, and I have done this. I usually don't hold myself to, oh, I'm going to do this specific thing here and this specific thing first, second, third. I do that sometimes if I really need that structure, but that's where I really invite you to play with that. I call it, kind of like that Goldilocks, what's just right. How much structure do you need to be able to support you, and what feels like too much and it's going to actually get in your way. And then I always like to mark down when I'm done so I can see it. I can literally see if you work your plan and you follow your intentions, you are done with work at this point. And then I leave this afternoon for an appointment. So I can see if I don't get done, there's no other time for me to get it done. So I can't move it around. So that created urgency. So I had my walk here. Sometimes I don't get my walk in before it might be dark or cold, or, I feel resistant. I can see there was nowhere else to move this to. So it literally created the urgency for me to hold to my plan because I didn't want to skip.
Right.
So seeing this allows me to use it and manipulate it very concretely, external, visible, concrete, the daily plan. It is a game changer. But again, I invite you to do whatever piece of daily planning would support you to navigate your day in a way that is just a little better than where you are right now. And then notice what it gives you to do it. If we try to do everything at one time, I would say it's not sustainable. We won't necessarily keep the practice up, and we'll believe, a lot of us, kind of start taking on this belief that, planning doesn't work for me. That's not something I ever had success with.
Yeah.
Start with one small thing. Maybe you start with step one. You just, look at getting your to-do list out of your head and onto a list. Bam. Notice what it gives you to do that. And that awareness will allow you to then continue doing it over time. And then notice if you do anything else, if you add another step to it. Start from where you are, build from there so that you can succeed and thrive with ADHD. All right, that's it. Book of the week time, Becca.
Patty's bookshelf.
All right. So my book this week was a super fun read called The Gunkle by Stephen Rowley. I didn't realize till I finished that Stephen wrote Lily and the Octopus, which I read and I really enjoyed.
That.
So I was like, cool. I didn't want to return it with the little bookmark I was using. I flagged this little section because my sister was visiting this weekend, and my niece and I was like, oh my gosh, I like laughed out loud, and I was in my happy little space reading.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm in here by myself, the TV's not on, and I'm laughing out loud. So I was like, I have to like share with them this little example of why I'm loving this book so much. So the Gunkle is, I had never heard this term before.
No, I have.
Apparently a lot of people have it. It just was new to me. So basically it means a gay uncle, and his niece and nephew come to stay with him because their mom just passed away and the dad has to go into rehab for 90 days. I'm not giving away. This all happens at the very beginning. Yeah. Because I hate when people give away like storylines, but they call him Gup. And he's like, why are you calling me Gup? To their niece and nephew, like, because you're our gay Uncle Pat, which I thought was really funny. But he's very flamboyant. He lives in California, and he's an actor who is not active right now.
Yeah.
And his niece and his nephew and his brother live in New York on the East Coast. And so they come all the way to LA to stay with him. And he was on a sitcom where he won a Golden Globe it was like a really successful sitcom. And there's this one part where he's talking to them about their mom, and he was like really close with their mom, and telling them about like when she was happiest. And so his niece says, when were you happiest, Gup? And he says, me? Right now, because they're in a hot tub when they're talking. He goes, right now in this hot tub. And she goes, really? And he says, no, what? He said, don't be ridiculous. I globe, for Christ's sakes. I just love that because he always talks about how important this Golden Globe is to him. So anyway, if you're looking for a book that is a quick read, enjoyable, hits on some sad, like I definitely laughed and cried in this book, but I just fell in love with the characters. There's a sequel to this coming out in May, which I'm super excited about because now that I read it, I can't wait. I've already got on the wait list at the library when it comes out. I invite you to check out The Gunkle by Stephen Rowley.
Aww.
All right, and now for our quote, Becca. I'm getting better at finding the quotes in advance. Usually I'm like, oh, let me pause the video. I forgot to find a quote. Okay, so this is from our Kevin Kelly quote book. Kevin says, assuming that you are average, half the world will be less proficient than you. Through no fault of their own, many of these people can't handle forms, complex instructions, or tricky situations. Be kind to them because the world is not.
That's true.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
I love this so much because when I read it, it immediately put me back in that place of when my kids were little and I was that mom, and I remember this so clearly, where my older son was outside at like a Chick-fil-A play area.
Yeah.
And I was pregnant with my third, probably about like 7 months, not, like totally,
Ready to
but
pop.
I was pretty
Yeah.
large. And it was time for us to go and he was having so much fun. He wasn't coming
He didn't
down.
want to go.
No. So I had my oldest daughter down already and my son up in the little like looking out of
Yes.
like the little like spaceship kind of like helmet
Totally.
bubble window. And I'm like, down here, it would not come down. I had to climb up the tube
7 months pregnant.
and bring him down. And I remember feeling like my face flushing because I just thought how many parents were watching me.
Right.
And I felt the perceived judgment.
Uh-huh.
And what it's given me over the course of raising my kids is this well of empathy that when I see a parent really struggling with a kiddo, I really try to ground myself in that I have no idea what's going on. They literally might be trying to avoid a much bigger meltdown in this moment just to get them safely from point A to point B. Or maybe like they literally have nothing left in their well right now and they can't do anything beyond what is going on in front of them or whatever it is. Because I do believe we all do the best we can from where we are with the tools we have.
Yeah.
And I try to, use my own experience to tap into that and have that understanding. And even if I can, to give a little encouragement, a little, something, if it's possible. Often the encouragement I give is just by not staring and not judging because I know that's not going to help.
Yeah.
But I've often been with other people that will say, oh my gosh, can you parent? And I'm like, they might be literally doing the best that they can right now.
Totally.
And that might be like the best thing that in the moment I can do. But so I love that because people do struggle in different ways. Like I always say, I struggle with tech. I struggle in a lot of different ways. And it really helps if I don't feel like I'm being judged for it and I'm being accepted. So if that resonates with you, that's literally what we do here at ADHD Friendly is we meet you where you are without judgment and support you to build to where you want to go so that you can get there in an ADHD friendly way. That's it for this episode 128. I invite you to absolutely leave behind everything that doesn't work for you. Let it go. Hold on to only what serves you. That's how we move forward and thrive. Until next time, tally ho.